Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the Learn to Play stage. Well, I renamed it yesterday. Now it's called The Classroom. And today I'm going to be teaching about how I hosted a D&D Mixer so that you can host one in your city. I'm so glad you're here. If you are here to learn about hosting in your city, I would love to learn where you're thinking of hosting. I see some familiar names. I'm so glad you're all here. I'm very nervous. It's been a while since I did a streamed lesson, just a long time. And so I just feel out of practice and not, you know, we're just going to do our best. But I have a lot of experience with teaching. I get to take deep breaths. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get started on how I hosted a D&D Mixer with Becca Bix. And this is going to be recorded, so it will be up on YouTube later when I figure out how to put it on YouTube. Please, in the chat, drop any questions you have at any time. Drop in, drop out as you need. This is informational, so take what works, leave the rest. And thanks for being here. Jay is here. Hi. He was one of the vendors at the event, so I'm glad he's here to give his perspective. All right, so today I'm going to answer these big 6 questions: who, what, when, where, why, and how. These are the main questions that when I was teaching 2nd grade, I practiced teaching kids how to answer. And so I'm going to answer them for you today. Thank you for the compliment. I'm going to share my way that I did it, my wins, my learnings that I had, so that you can do it your way, because one of the things that is going to be really important for a successful mixer is for you to do it in the way that works for you. And then I'm going to talk at the end about why my IRL adventuring party, why my community was a crucial part to pulling this off. First, here's a little look at the flyer. I didn't make the flyer that Gloria, who runs Tucson Love Letter, did, and that was key because she had a vision. I came up with the idea of I was like, I play D&D, I don't, the little speech bubbles. But she put together the flyer, and we came together on the name, a mixer for people who like D&D, but also for people who don't. Because Gloria doesn't play any TTRPGs, but she is very big in our local Tucson community, wanting to have she highlights third spaces, she highlights free events. And so she was a natural fit for me to work with, because I am working on bringing more games to our city, more tables to our city, more opportunities for people to get to play with each other. And that was the goal of the event, was get people in the same room and get them talking to each other and see if they can form tables. So you see it says, find people to join your D&D table maybe, make new friends, do a little craft, IDK, TBH, the only rule is to have fun. And that was really the vibe going into it. Gloria and I were like, I don't know how it's going to go, but maybe some people will meet people, and that would be great. So that was where the idea came from. I just came up with it while I was sitting in my backyard and texted my friend and said, do you want to help me with this? And then we were off. All right, so let's start with who was invited to the party. And it was a combination of several different audiences. You can see that it was a lot of people. We ended up having about 130 is the estimate. I know it was over 100 because I printed 100 bingo cards, and we ran out a little less than an hour in, but there were still people coming in after that, and we estimated it was 20 to 30 more people, so that's about how many we think came. It was a lot of people from my audience, and my audience is specifically people who are not looking for games at a game store. They are usually women or femmes or trans men or women or non-binary people. They are people who feel like they have been excluded from the narrative, or it's not quite for them, or they're not quite sure what it was. This was really an invitation to people to just test it out. Just come see. Maybe it's for you. Maybe it's not. It was also for people who are super into D&D and looking for a table. There was one gal who came to the party with a map of where her land was going to be, where her campaign was going to be held. And she was there to pitch people, come to my table. Here is where it's going to be. So that was spectacular to have people who really are into D&D see that there is so much more of an audience in our local area like them that are looking for something different than just a traditional game store run by cishet white men. We had a huge amount of crossover with Tucson Love Letters audience. She has an Instagram presence that focuses on Tucson locals. So partnering with her was great because I have the worldwide D&D audience. She has the local Tucson audience. So having that crossover, we found the people in Tucson who wanted to find the D&D. And we found a lot of people. Jay and I made a video of driving around the block to show where parking was. And that video, by the time the party happened, was at like 130,000 views. And so we went like sort of locally viral, which really helped with the audience as well, because a lot of people knew exactly where it was in our city. And that was very unexpected. I don't know why that one caught fire. The internet just does what it does sometimes. And it was literally just me and Jay in the car talking to each other. But people crave knowing where parking is. So that was a good thing to do. And then we also crossed over with a lot of local hangs. Celestia Collective, where we hosted the event, posted on their social media everything we had. Yes, there will be a video. Yes, Mary, there will be a video later. So I will have that up. And then all of the vendors that came and helped, Jay with Starlit Studio, Serena with Cactus Clouds Art, Muffin But Focaccia, Celestia Collective, and Tucson Love Letter, we all were collaborating on all the posts. So we were getting a much wider audience because we were hitting every audience on Instagram, not just, thank you, Starlit Sanctuary. I always say it wrong. We were hitting a very wide audience. So we had a really wide reach before the party, and that started about a month before the party was when we started advertising for it. And I literally posted on my Instagram stories and was like, from now on, it's going to be party promo, and if you're not here for that, there will be other content later. And now that party promo has ended, I haven't posted any other content because I am so tired from posting party content. So it was definitely a labor of love, but a big success. Let's move on to what happened at the party. So many activities. You need to give them things to do. I stole this directly from teaching second grade. When I had new students coming, first week of school, they are so shy. Nobody wants to be the first one to go up to somebody else and be the brave one. And I'm always the brave one in a group. And it feels weird when you're the brave one over and over again and everybody else is not, so it's like giving people something to do so they're not having to make eye contact, but they're in proximity to each other, and then giving them a reason to introduce themselves to each other that they can sort of put the blame on somewhere else. Like, oh, it's on this bingo card that I have to ask you this question. So it's not really me asking you the question. It's somebody telling me to ask you the question. Can really lower the barrier for conversation. So some of the activities we had was Jay, of course, did his, oh, my cat wants to come see. This is Binz, everybody. She wants to see what we're doing. Jay did embroidery in the classroom at the space we were at. He took all of the D&D class symbols and turned them into patches. We made embroidery patches. And this is what I'm talking about with your real life adventuring party. I didn't take this on. Jay did, because this is his skill. And this is here he is right here in his pink shirt that I got him to wear because I'm that girl. I get people to wear pink even when they don't wear pink. So he was fully in charge of the embroidery room. People loved it. We made 100 kits because we were like, 100 would be a crazy number. And then we ran out. So next you see here is the bookmark bar. Serena from Cactus Clouds Art. She has a book called Pink Eraser Art. And she just carved a bunch of D&D eraser stamps and then brought paper cut into the shape of a bookmark. It was literally like scrapbook paper that she got from, we have an art thrift store here, that she cut into the shape of bookmarks. And one side was a pattern and the other side people could put stamps on. And it was a lovely low-key way for people to sit next to each other. They're doing something, they have their hands busy, and then they can start asking these little low-pressure questions that were on the bingo. You see me giving a chat to these lovely Gen Z gals who I forget what the joke was, but I pulled some joke on them and they just stared at me. And I was like, must be a millennial thing. And they were like, must be. And I was like, anyway. But this is a picture of me teaching them about safety tools because one of the questions on the bingo was find someone who knows about safety tools and ask them about it. So I was telling them about lines and veils forms. I was telling them about stoplight system. And I wouldn't have gotten to chat with these gals otherwise because, it's just weird to talk to new people in a new place. It's vulnerable. So we were trying to do everything we could to reduce the vulnerability level and increase the accessibility level for everyone who came. And then this last picture is someone working on a postcard. Gloria from Tucson Love Letter brought just make your own postcards. So she had some that are just black and white, like coloring pages. She had some that were blank that you could decorate yourself. She had some that already had Tucson local stuff on it. And then she brought just so many stickers and jewels and coloring pencils and all kinds of things. Again, another place for people to sit, to bond over an activity. And I really wanted to keep people moving too, if they wanted to be moving. I wanted them to be able to go to different stations and different things so that they could mingle with different people and so that they could also extricate themselves if they found themselves with someone who maybe wasn't the best fit, because that's going to happen too when you're in community. Not everybody's going to be the best fit, and that's not everybody's that's not your fault. That's just how it is. That's how community works, is we find all different sorts and then we go with the people that we like a lot. All right. When is a good time to host a D&D mixer? This is a question you have to ask yourself as the person who is excited about this, who wants to see it in your city. When do you have capacity for this? Because it's a lot. It was a lot. I did not have fun at the mixer. I didn't expect to have fun. I expected to go and see if it was a success, which it was. But it was incredibly overwhelming for me to have all those people in the same space. It was better once I realized that I didn't have to talk to everybody, that everybody else was talking to everybody else. But it was a lot of coordination, a lot of making sure I was posting things every week, making sure I'm tracking where the prizes are coming from, checking in with the host, checking in with Celestia, who was hosting the party, checking in with Gloria, making sure we had everything that we needed, coordinating signs, all those things. So you're going to want to make sure you do this at a time when you have capacity for it. You're not going to burn yourself out. You want to do it at a time when you're going to have community and when you have the passion for it. Don't do it just because I did it and because it was successful. Do it because it's something that you think would really make a big difference and you really want to do it and you really want to see this happen in your city. And the community part, you're going to need people who are also excited about it, because this is not something that one person, it's a community game. And so it's not something that one person should try to pull off by themselves. It's a community event. And so it can be a community planned event, a community supported event. I needed every person who showed up to help me. And I'm so grateful for every person who showed up to help me, because it's not something I'm eager to repeat right away, because I need to think about, what does my capacity look like? What community is going to help me with it if we do it again? If you have any questions, again, drop them in the chat. Where should you host this event? At a place where it's safe. I chose Celestia Collective because it's a place that already centers the safety of queer folks. That is their mission. It's a witchy third space for queer people. And so I already was in a space where I've been learning how to keep people safe in this community, been learning directly from queer and trans people what they need. And so you're going to want to think about what message is the space sending. You could have it in a community center. You could have it at a library. You could have it at a bookstore. You could have it at a coffee shop. Have it at a place where you feel comfortable. Have it at a place where you feel supported. Have it at a place where you're going to have enough space. Because people, the audience is out there. People want to find each other. They want to meet each other. I've gotten so many requests. When are we going to do this again? When are you going to do this in my city? Like, I could turn this into a traveling thing and take mixers to different cities. I just don't want to. That sounds not like what I want to do with my life. But I know there are places like this in lots of cities. And so it's about finding that place for you that has the mix of room to host it and welcoming environment. It does not have to be a gaming centered space in order to host it there. All right. And why did I have it? I mean, these pictures show it, right? Like, this is why we have it. We want people to get to know each other. We want people to find community. We want them to be together in real life, practicing all the skills that we know TTRPGs bring us, like community, like connection, like bravery, like practicing rebellion, like exploring new cultures, new ways to build worlds. I firmly believe that this work I'm doing to bring playing pretend to more grown-ups is a way to build a road to things like revolution. And so we're getting people together because connection is like the thing that I want people to have. I want them to be connected to each other. I want them to have the smiles, the laughs, but also a place to have those uncomfortable big feelings. And you're not going to get that at a mixer, but if you find the people at the mixer and you connect with them, you might get that in a group later. You also want to do it because there are so many people in your city. There are so many people where you live that are looking for this and don't know where or how to find it. There is so much gatekeeping in the culture of TTRPGs still that make it very daunting to get started. And I can't help every person. That was one of the things that came up at the party was people kept asking me, do you have any open tables? Do you have any classes starting soon? And no, I don't. I have 3 tables now that I play at myself. I have a book I'm writing. I have a membership space I'm working on. And I don't have capacity to have every person at my table, nor do I want to, because that's not how these games work. They're designed to be working in groups of 4 to 6 people. And I want to facilitate those connections and make the people in those groups feel like they are capable of getting started all on their own right now with the skills they have right now. And so the why, again, is just to start building those connections, to get those people in the same room together, vibing on their special interest or the thing that they're curious about that they've been too nervous to test out because they're not sure it's for them. It is for them. And the things like the mixer show them that it is for them. Okay. So now we're going to go into how. How has a few different slides. Here are some of the ways that we prepped. Here's this video that I was telling you about that Jay and I did that went super viral. Hello, this is exactly how to find parking for our D&D mixer. Accessibility was key when I was planning this. I wanted people to know what to expect because a lot of these people are going to be neurodivergent. They're going to be introverts. They're going to be people who are leaving their house because it's the thing they want. Finding a group to play with is worth taking the risk of going out of their house at night, being in a crowd around other people, taking that step of talking to someone else. And so anything that you can do ahead of time to prepare them makes it more likely that they're going to show up and find each other. So I made a reel on how to find parking. This reel of what to expect from our D&D mixer shows exactly how to get to the party. The place I hosted at Celestia has like a series of doors you have to get through to find the coffee shop. And people have given up before they've even gotten in because it's like they see the gate, they don't know where to go, forget it, it's overwhelming. Or it takes them a few times. I've had people come to my classes there before that like came the first time and then left. And then the next week they were like, I'm going to be brave and go in the gate. So if we can reduce that barrier for them by showing them, here's exactly how to get in there. It's uncomfortable. It was very uncomfortable for me to make these videos, but for me, it was more important to give them access than to keep the comfort. And we're all going out of our comfort zones by doing this community building. So it felt right for me to do that. We also made videos about like what it would look like to be doing the embroidery in there. We showed all the prizes that we were going to win. And then this bingo card was a really important tool that I came up with. This is, again, a tool I used with my second graders when getting to know each other in the first days of school. In second grade, it has questions like, what's your favorite animal? Does your family have a pet? Do you live with your mom or dad or grandparents? But this one had things like ask someone their favorite Tucson restaurant. Find someone who's lived here for a long time. Roll dice. I had some that you didn't have to do any interaction for as well, like people watch for 30 seconds. That one I wanted on there because I wanted people to take a moment and notice, like, I'm here. This is happening. I've done it. I've shown up. Find someone who has met a celebrity. So all of these were designed to be very low risk ways to spark conversation with someone you've never talked to before, which is really scary. Jay says, make sure you quadruple check any follow squares. Yes, this whole bottom line was following all the different vendors, and I misspelled Jay's, and it went to some church in Kentucky, and he is not a church in Kentucky. He is an embroidery artist, and so I'm sad that I misspelled that. So we'll check, and we check, and we check, and I had people who were coming to the party check it, but the key was make it low key. And at the top, I put the rules. The goal was have fun, play fair, don't overthink it. And for a bingo, they would get 1 ticket. And if they did a blackout, they got 5 tickets. But again, it was like vibes based. I had Gloria from Tucson Love Letter at the front, and she was checking people's bingos, but she was like, I don't know, have a few. Because again, the point is fun. The point isn't to be a rules lawyer about bingo. It's just to get people there. So some more how we got them. The name tag system was a huge success, and people were really looking forward to that. And it was just based on how you were feeling. This went with accessibility as well. I wanted people to know who was there to do what and why. And I wanted to include people who wanted to show up, and that was all they could do. One of my friends showed up, and she was like, I came to see you, but I don't really want to mingle with anyone. And I was like, great, grab a red name tag and then no one will talk to you. And she was like, what? And I was like, yeah, we planned for that. You can be in this community without having to participate. If all that you have right now is showing up, that's enough. So we bought a pack of name tags that had borders that were different colors. And then we had the sign on the sign-in table with this grab a name tag based on how you're feeling. And then I also put the name tag code on the bingo so that people who were carrying it around, if they forgot, they could check the bingo and see what the code was. Yellow and green and blue were very popular. Some people even ripped yellow and green in half and were like, I don't know if I'm into D&D. That was a category I would include next time, is like, I don't know, or I'm not sure. I'm just here to test things out. Because there were a lot of people who came to the mixer and were like, I don't know, they would wear yellow. I'm not into D&D. And then they left with an adventuring party because they met someone who explained it to them in a way that sounded really exciting. And suddenly they are interested in D&D. And then we had, of course, blue, which is I'm into D&D, but I'm not seeking a table for the people that just wanted to come. My table, my Sunday table was there. Jay, myself, we were wearing blue because we weren't necessarily seeking a table, but we wanted to be there for the vibes. And that made it really easy for people to bring a friend, which also lowers the barrier to access. If you can be like, hey, I'm going to this mixer because I want to find D&D, and I know you're not into D&D, but it's also for people who aren't into D&D. So I'm here with a green name tag, but my friend is here with a red name tag. I am more likely to go up to someone and find a table because I have my friend right behind me who I know is going to, I can turn around and be like, oh my God, I was so brave. I talked to that person. They're going to be like, you did it. That was so cool. Look at how many people are here. Let's go get a drink. Including as many different types of people as possible made it easier for those who wanted to find each other to find each other. If I haven't thought of it yet, I think some sort of like Facebook page or something where people can find each other again in case they didn't exchange info. Such a good point, Jay. I thought about that. Like, should I have a Discord channel where they can come in and find each other, or a missed connection if like you found someone? I think it's a great idea to have some way for people to connect with each other after the party also, if they're looking for it. All right. And on our last how continued, bribe people. Bribe them to come. I asked for so many prizes. I directly messaged companies and said, I'm having this party. Will you send me a prize for it? I was very clear that it was not for charity. We're not raising money. There's no money exchanging hands. This is just purely, I'm bribing people to come out of their house and meet each other to play D&D. And people want other people to play D&D. And so people are really excited to share this. I asked a gaming company, Himgo, that my cousin works for. I asked on my stories for anybody who follows me and wants to share stuff. Jay shared a ticket to his to one of his embroidery workshops. And I think we ended up with like, maybe like 30 prizes when all was said and done. And that was a much bigger hit than I expected. And people loved it. People loved getting tickets. People loved putting the tickets in the little, you see on the window here, we had envelopes taped, which were labeled with the name of the prize. So people could put their tickets into which prize they wanted to win. And people were coming up to me like, when's the next drawing? Are we going to do the next drawing? And I was like, I don't know. My brain is about to explode. There are too many people here. I don't care who wins any prizes. But other people really cared about prizes. So that was a great way to get them there. Look how excited they are. Look at their faces. They're so happy. There was cheering. There was clapping. We started giving out prizes about a half hour into the party. It was 2 hours total. So we did a couple at 6:30, a couple at 7, a couple at 7:30, and then like the big majority we did a few minutes before 8, right when the party ended. We didn't make people be present to win. We asked everyone to write their name and phone number on the ticket so that we could text them. And most everybody stayed to pick up their prizes. There were a few that we kept at the shop, and then they came and got a coffee the next day and picked up their prize if they had to leave early or if they left because it was just too overwhelming. There were so many people there. So bribery was incredibly successful. Works with so many humans. All right, and last I'm going to talk about why I needed my IRL adventuring party. This is pictures of my 2 DMs. They are co-DMs on Sunday. This is Alyssa. She showed up about an hour before the party was supposed to start, and she just walked in and was like, okay, what are we doing? What are we getting started on? And I was like, what do you mean? She was like, let's get to work. This is my other DM, Serena. She came up to me at 6:30 and said, hey, it's time to start doing prize giveaways. And I was not in a place where I could do prize giveaways. It was originally planned to be my role to get on the microphone and be like, thanks for coming. I'm so glad you're here. Let me give away some prizes. But I was very close to a meltdown at that point. The photographer, who I didn't ask to come, she saw it and she was like, can I come photograph your event? And I was like, yeah, please come photograph my event. And so she did all of this. Her name is Kat. She goes by Arizona Angeli. She came up to me a few minutes before this and said, I'm concerned about capacity. We need to make sure that people are being safe in the building. We need to make sure that there's clear egress if people need to get out, if there was an emergency. And so I had that in my brain, which I was very grateful that she shared with me. And she was like, this is a compliment. I'm not usually telling first-time event organizers that they need to worry about capacity. But I had seen the line out the door. I had been hearing about how we got to make sure that it's safe, and I was not okay. And so my 2 DMs, Alyssa and Serena, came up to me and said, hey, we're going to take over this now. And I said, you are? And they said, yeah, we're going to make sure that people are asking about the raffle. They want prizes. So we're going to just take that off of you. Why don't you go take a break? And I was like, what do you mean? And they said, you need to take care of yourself. And that's what I mean when I say I needed my real life adventuring party. I needed the people who I have trust and, Kat wants to come back. She's part of the adventuring party too. She's my familiar. I just needed people. This is not something you can pull off by yourself. I needed Jay to be there to run the embroidery room, to help me make the videos every week. I needed Gloria to help run the welcome table to get everybody signed in. I had friends come who are from just the other parts of my life, just wanted to come see me and gave me a little eye contact and said, are you okay? And I said, no. And they said, okay, what do you need? And I said, a break. And they said, okay, go take a break. We'll check on you in a couple minutes. I needed my friends who all work behind the counter at Celestia making the drinks. They brought in extra team. Usually on Tuesday nights, it's just one person working, but we needed 5 people behind the counter because they sold more during that 2 hours than they do like the rest of the month. And those people all just showed up because they wanted to see it be a success as well. I needed my friend Derek, who just showed up and said, I'm going to be your assistant. And I said, what are you going to be? You're going to be my assistant. And he was like, I'm just going to check in on you. So he came and gave me time checks. It's 6:30. Do you need some water? And I would say, yes, actually, I do need some water. I didn't even know I needed some water. Oh no, my robot vacuum is going to turn on and ruin the vibe. Hold on, you guys. See, this is why I'm not a professional streamer. Okay. My spouse took care of it for me. What an angel. We love to see it. Part more of my IRL adventuring party. The rest of my Sunday adventuring party was there too, and they were just a real refuge in the midst of it all. They had a table, and so there was a space that I could just sit and be with them and look around and be like, "Holy shit." And they were like, "Holy shit." And I was like, "Do you see this?" And they were like, "We see this." Having people see it really mattered to me. Just knowing that they were there experiencing it with me. I'm not in this alone. I have so much practice. I've been playing with this group since last summer, and I've been in community with the people who aren't in my group for almost a year. And knowing that we have solved so many problems before, we have repaired, we have shown up in community, we have practiced having big feelings at the D&D table, made it just second nature to lean on them during the party. Like, of course you're going to take over this part for me now because I'm not okay. Of course that makes sense. That's what we practice at our D&D table. That's what we practice every week, showing up for each other. And so it really was just an expansion of the community that I already have, and people who see the value in what gaming brings and wanted to bring it to more people. Yeah, everybody just showed up, and so I hope that that's accessible for more people. All right, so that answers my big questions: who, what, when, where, why, how, and why I needed my adventuring party. Happy to answer any more questions that show up, but I am just really grateful that there was interest in this, because I don't know when or if I will do this again, but I really think it was a worthy venture. I think it proved beyond a reasonable doubt that people are out there. People are craving this. They're hungry for it. They want to be in real life community with each other, playing pretend, making friends, and they need places where that community can be found. So it was really exciting to prove that, because I've seen it online. I know that online they're here, but it's also in real life. And I love online gaming. 2 of my 3 tables are online, but there's just something about that in-person connection that brings its own magic. And I want to foster that in my local community, because again, I believe that having these smaller communities working together builds a stronger foundation for bigger work we want to do. That's a great question. I found, how did I find the location where I hosted it? I barista there on Tuesdays. I found it last year when I was just beginning this work. I was looking for a place to run my Learn to Play class, actually. And I ran into a gal that I had seen on Instagram. Her name, what is her name? She runs Monsoon Mystics. And I was like, hey, I know you have a metaphysical shop. Do you have any, Tori, thank you. Do you have a D&D group at your shop? And she said, no, but you should ask Celestia Collective, because they have space for that. And Celestia had just moved to their new location last April. And so I went in and had a meeting with the folks that owned it. And they were like, yeah, you should have your class here. And I've sort of got adopted by that community after that. I kind of just found a collective where I needed to be. And so now I work there once a week making drinks. And so it was a really natural fit for me to host the event there, because I already felt familiar with a lot of the things. So familiarity, comfort is definitely something you want to take into account when organizing your own. But there's lots of different options. If that hadn't have been an option, I might have thought of renting a community center room. There are other local coffee shops I would have, or tea. We have a big tea community in Tucson as well that I would have reached out to. I personally wouldn't have reached out to game shops, because I don't have relationships or feel super comfortable with the ones in my city at the moment. But metaphysical spaces are a really great space as well. Breweries would love to have events like this. bookstores. I had a local bookstore reached out to me last week after seeing this, and they were like, can you do something like that here? And I was like, no, I'm too tired, but maybe later. So it's just a matter of asking around and finding who's got the vibes that you're looking for. Knowing that this is going to be, you're not just going to have the idea and it's going to happen tomorrow. It's going to be a process. Just like finding a D&D table is a process, you know? You don't just at least most people have to go through a couple of tables that aren't exactly what it would be to find the table that does fit for you. So this is not going to be perfect the first time you host it, but I think it's very worthwhile to test out, find these relationships, and find what might be your version of this. Your mixer's not going to look the same as mine, but having an event like this is very worthy. Art studios, absolutely. Paint your own pottery shops, art centers with an event space would be spectacular. We have local, like a coalition space that I could have asked about it, where they do a lot of community work and classes and things. Yeah, Jay says the old rule of no D&D is better than bad D&D is really true. Don't settle for a table you feel uncomfortable at, and that includes a community space as well. But these things do take work, and that's why I mention your capacity. Don't push yourself. This is something that can happen at your pace and your speed because you want it to. And it did. So, yeah, so that's what I have to share today. Go forth and party. Thank you for being here. I think I recorded it correctly, which would be really exciting because that was what I was super nervous about. I have all my notes about like how to set up my screen for recording and make sure it works. So I did it. Everybody give me a round of applause. I'm the bravest girl that ever lived on the planet. And I'm going to stop my recording now.